Happy day 22 of 29 of falling madly in love with your money. Today, we're going to talk about financial boundaries and how beautiful they are, how they can truly bring peace of mind into your finances, and they are really going to help you accelerate you building that healthy relationship with your money as well as yourself. Now, this is going to be a good topic because this was like one of my first things that I had to overcome when I started working towards building a healthy relationship with my money. And it's also something that a lot of my clients have to do. And we're going to talk more about that because this could be the one of the most difficult things to do and people think it's like, sticking to your budget and saving and those things where there's a lot of other things that come into play and boundaries are like one of the top ones. So if you happen to be catching this live, put hashtag live. If you're catching on the replay, hashtag replay. For those of you who do not know who I am, I'm Nashaya Richardson, the Play Money Coach. I work with high achieving women who want to learn how to manage their money like a boss so they have more play money to do the things they enjoy, like shop guilt free, travel debt free, throw whatever you want in your cart at the grocery store and not worry about if you have enough money to cover it. All those amazing things, right? So let's talk about boundaries. Now, I when I think about boundaries, I think about like where do we learn how to set boundaries? And when I think about childhood and then, becoming an adult and all those things, boundaries were never really talked about until you got into like high school or whatever and like sex education and they talk about just say no or those types of things when it comes to being in situations where you may not want to consent to, right? um but a lot of times some things could actually be stopped if we have the courage and the confidence to set boundaries a little sooner, right? And I think about as kids and you go to like a family gathering or the wherever, family gather, let's just say that. And it's like, oh, give Auntie Susie a hug, right? Or give Uncle Jim a kiss on the cheek. And it's like a lot of times as kids, we're like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to hug that person. I don't want to kiss that person ill. And it's like, no, go, don't be rude, give them a hug or give them a kiss. And that right there is where we learn that we have no, or we feel like we have no boundaries, right? And we start taking I can't, the word is not coming to me, I just lost the word. We start taking those things into adulthood and then we don't know how to set boundaries when we become adults. So let's talk about how that shows up into your finances. So if you're a kid who can't necessarily say no, I don't want to give that person a hug, or you then become a teenager or a young adult and you're like, no, I don't want you in my space, and sometimes that's looked at as being rude, or who do you think you are? Like, what's your problem? And it's like, no, respect my space, respect my boundaries. I don't want you touching me. I don't want you in my space. I don't want you kissing me. I don't want you looking at me. Like, just go, right? So boundaries are important, and they're really difficult to actually implement if you were never taught how to do it, or you were someone who couldn't really speak up for yourself. And a lot of times when we set those boundaries in our finances, there are going to be people around us. And even thinking about not necessarily finances, but things that you've had growing up where, someone said, oh, can I have some of that? And you're like, no, I don't want to share. Like, no, this is my last piece of my chicken or my last piece of candy, and I don't want to share it. You were considered as selfish, right? Because you weren't willing to give someone something that they wanted that was yours, and now it's like, oh my gosh, how dare you not share? Well, it's okay to set those boundaries. That's actually a healthy thing to do for yourself, right? And truly, who cares how the other person feels? But I will say that this is something that I had the most difficulty with because there was always that feeling of guilt. And oh man, I know I should be giving this to them because this, they asked for it, I have it, let me give it to them because if not, I'm selfish. And that's a known as a bad thing when really it's really not a bad thing, right? So as we're thinking about building a healthier relationship with our money, and we think about all the things that we do with our finances on a monthly basis, And a lot of the women that I work with, they have children, whether they're younger or older children, right? Or they have family that they feel like they need to take care of, or that they actually want to participate in, their family's livelihood, and they feel like they have that responsibility, right? But what comes with that is a lot of times there's no boundaries within those responsibilities. And this is usually the hardest part, because you'll hear women say time and time again, oh, I had to help my kids with this. Oh, I was doing really good, but my sister reached out to me and she needed help and I had to help her. Or my family needed me to travel and take care of my aunt who lived in 2 states away, and I had to travel back and forth and I depleted my savings. Oh, this person needed help and I, depleted my retirement account. All of these things come up and they're normal conversations. And it's usually the woman that is in that space of having to deplete their finances or sacrifice their financial wellness to take care of other people, where it's really important that we find that power, we find our voice to say, like, no, these are the boundaries that I am setting, and this is what I can help you with. This is what I'm not willing to help you with. And you have to figure out the rest on your own. Because if not, people will take advantage of you and they will know that you are that go to person. You're the person that's always going to say yes. You're the person that's always going to be there if they need it. They're going to keep asking and asking and asking and asking until you finally break down and say, okay, here you go. Where if you stand firm in your power and your voice and your boundaries, they will get the point after a while. And then eventually they're going to find someone else to take your place and they'll get what they need. So, one, boundaries are important for us first, right? So, before we talk about anyone else, let's talk about how boundaries can truly help us, you know, build our self worth as well as build our financial wellness. So, boundaries are for us first, and they truly help us build that self trust. So, if you've ever said to yourself, and you can tell me in the comments if you this resonates with you, but have you ever told yourself, like, I'm only going to, save or, have $100 worth of spending for this week. And I'm not going to go over that amount. And then comes the end of the week, and let's say you have like $50 left, and your girlfriends call you, or whoever, a friend, a cousin, whoever calls you, and they're like, hey, girl, you want to go out? And you're thinking to yourself, oh, I got $50 to last me until Monday. And I actually do want to go out, but I know it's going to cost me $75 versus this $50 that I said that I have left. Have you actually said, you know what? It's okay. I'll just spend a little extra $25. It's just $25. It's no big deal. Put a one in the comments if you've experienced that or something similar, right? And if so, that right there is breaking a boundary that we have set with ourselves. Our boundary was $100 for the week to spend on whatever we wanted to spend it on. The moment that we make an excuse or an exception that's not an emergency, it's not anything that's truly important, and we break that boundary, now we're breaking our self trust. And what ends up happening is the week after that, we do the same thing. Oh, I said I was going to spend $150 at the grocery store. Let me just pick up these extra cookies. Even though I don't need them, I have everything else that I need. It's just an extra $5. It's no big deal. Well, that $5 then turns into $10, then $50, then $500. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, why can't I stick to this budget or this spending plan I set for myself? It's because you can't stick to your boundaries. You have lost your self trust. So now what we can do to build that back up is by setting boundaries, right? That we know that we can stick to, that also are in alignment with the life that we truly desire to have. Because maybe those boundaries that you set for yourself weren't realistic. And maybe you actually did want to spend $150 and you were trying to limit that because you thought it was a good idea for you to restrict yourself versus saying, like, listen, this is what I truly want to spend. It's within my spending amount. And this is what I feel good with spending. The other part of that is as you begin to start sticking to the things that you say that you're going to do, you are gradually going to build that self trust. And now it's going to also make you expect the same thing out of other people. So as you work on your boundaries that you have with yourself, as you set them for other people. So let's say you say, you know what, I'm not spending any more. I'm not loaning anyone or giving anyone more than $100 a month. That's my limit. Now you're going to stick to that because as your family, your friends, or whoever, the people that normally come up to you and say, hey, I need help. Can you give me this? Or can you do this for me? You're going to be like, listen, all I have is $100 and that's it. After that, you got to figure out on your own. Or you're going to say, you know what? That's I didn't allocate money towards that this month. I'm working towards some things with my finances that are really important to me. And at this time, I can't help you with that. Or I can't help you with that at all. Maybe never. Maybe not just this time, but maybe never, right? And you're going to then look for people to um pay attention to those boundaries and respect those boundaries. It's no more going to be, you know what, I said $100 is all I have, but you know what, I have an extra 150. Here you go. Because what ends up happening is as you break those boundaries with other people, they're going to expect that every time because you've made the exception for them. You said $100, then you turned around and said $150, right? No, stick to your boundaries, and then people will learn to respect them, or they will disappear and go. But sometimes that's what you want people to do, right? So just realize that your boundaries are so important, whether they are boundaries with yourself, because as you learn to stick to the boundaries you set with yourself, you are building your self trust. Now you know that if you say you're going to do something, you actually follow through and you do something versus saying, like, man, every time I say I'm going to send that email or pay off that credit card or save $100 or call my best friend, I never follow through on that. And now you're just like, you know what? What's the big deal? I can't even trust myself. So why should I trust anyone else? Or I can't trust myself. So why should I take this money management thing serious? Because I can't do it. I've never stuck to anything that I said I can do. Right. And then the same thing with setting boundaries for other people, because people are going to only do what you allow them to do. So if you are in that space, you're that woman, that high achieving woman that everybody looks at as the go-to person because you're making the money. They see that, you're starting working towards having a better lifestyle. And they're like, oh, okay, you can help me now because you got that big paying job, or you're the responsible one. I'm going to keep going to you. And it doesn't feel good anymore. And you're like, listen, I love to give, but now I've given enough. And I'm setting limits, I'm setting boundaries on what I'm willing to give. Then it's important that you communicate that, one, and really be confident about saying no, because it is okay to say no. It is not selfish, right? You have to take care of yourself first. You ever been on a plane? And if you've been on a plane, what do they say? Put your mask on first before you go and help anybody else. So why is it any different in your life and in your finances versus being on an airplane, right? So we have to take care of ourselves first if we're going to be any good for anybody else that we want to help. And that includes our children, right? Or our parents or whoever we're really close to. Because if you're not your best self, how can you show up and help other people in the best way possible? Because you're just going to be pouring from an empty cup, and what's going to end up happening is going to be resent. There's going to be guilt. There's going to be shame. There's going to be all the attitudes and the negative talks, and we don't need that, right? We don't need that in our lives at all. So boundaries are beautiful, and if you're like, listen, I really don't know the steps to take with that, or for me, it feels really heavy. I don't know if I have the confidence to do that. Maybe you've tried it before and it didn't quite work because your family or whoever was like, girl, forget your boundaries, give me that money, and you need support with that. Then I invite you to be a part of the Money Haven Academy, which is my online community for high achieving women who are ready to build a healthier relationship with their money. You're ready to crush your financial goals. You want to have a peace of mind around your finances, and you want to get money coaching from me. Through the academy, we work through my 6M Wealth Acceleration Method and group sessions. We have monthly Q&A and coaching and support. We have quarterly wealth guest experts that come in and talk to us about other wealth building strategies that we need to implement. So what I do, I focus on the foundation. I focus on you creating that value-based spending plan, getting your debt paid off, building up your savings, working on your mindset around money, really preparing and planning for your financial future so that you have the foundation solid, right? we'll also work on you goal setting. We'll also work on you spending and being an empowered buyer, as well as your relationship with money and yourself. We'll do all of that in the Money Haven Academy together as a group. And with that comes the community of other women who are there to support you through your journey, because you all are working on your money at the same time, which is a beautiful space to be in, because a lot of women feel like they're in this alone. They feel like they're the only one, like they're trying to play catch up to all their friends who are investing heavily, who have these big paying jobs, and yet they don't even have $1,000 in their saving, or they need to pay off a lot of debt, or they haven't, filed their taxes yet, or they're still trying to figure out how to you know, get a bank account started, right? All these things, right? And I like to point out that, people think that because you have the title and you have a high paying job that you have it all together. And that's where that pressure and that guilt and that shame comes from, because from you high achieving women, because you have the title, you're making the money, but yet your money in your bank account and the way that you're managing your money does not reflect that. So now you feel embarrassed because you're like, man, everybody else has it together and I don't. Where that is so not the truth. It is so not the truth. So that is why this community is so powerful, because it really shows you that you are not alone. Even though you are an amazing woman and you've done some amazing things, it's okay that you may need help in the area of managing your money so that you can get to that next level of being able to invest, getting some real estate, learning how to put your trust together in your will and all of those things, right? So the Money Haven Academy is truly a place for you to do that, as well as get support and coaching from me as we work through my 6M Wealth Accelerator method. $97 a month, or if you're like, listen, I need some one-to-one support along with those group sessions, then you can pay for the year at $1,200, and you will get a one-to-one consultation with me so that we can help you get jump started before you come into the community. Also, if you're like, listen, girl, I don't need no community. I need one-to-one support. I just need to get this thing going. And I want just that to focus on myself. Then go ahead and book a financial wellness call at meetwithnashaya.com. Whatever platform you're on, it's in the caption, right? And we can talk about what that looks like. If you're a good fit, then we will work together for one-to-one and over 3 months over Zoom. And that investment is $3,750. So, yeah. I'm coming back tomorrow, day 23 of 29. We are less than a week left as of tomorrow, and we're going to talk about the power of gratitude and how that can truly add to accelerating you building a healthier relationship with your money. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. If you're going to come back tomorrow, put a 2 in the comments, and don't forget to invite someone that you know needs to hear this message. But until then, I'll see y'all tomorrow. So have an awesome evening. Stay safe. Later.